All right, today we are going to be diving into the marketing funnel for home services and contractors. Now, this is a 5-part funnel, but most business owners only focus on one of them. Most business owners only focus on stage one. Stage one is awareness, right? They need to know that you exist. Now, most people, when they think of marketing, they only think of stage one, right? Which is how many eyeballs can I get to look at my business, right? How many people can I let know about what I'm doing, what the services are that I provide? But there are 4 other steps that actually have to all work together to lead up to getting that sale, right? So that's what I'm going to break down in this video. Now, stage one, like I mentioned, right? Just knowing that you exist. So someone has a problem and they need to start looking around. Well, how do they find you? Google search, social media, referrals. They see your ad. They drive past your truck, right? All of these is how they find you. Now, where do most contractors lose here, right? Well, they're not showing up on Google, right? Maybe they have a very strong word of mouth presence. They have a very, very big warm market. They have nice trucks all around town with nice logos and nice branding, but they're not showing up on Google, right? They don't have reviews built up. They don't have a social media presence, right? They're not running ads. So in the digital market, which is where most of the business, a lot of the business is done because everyone's online, they're pretty much invisible. Now, what fixes this, right? So the very first thing that's going to fix this is paid ads, right? Now, what are paid ads? Just to keep it simple, let's say you're a landscaper and you only work with homeowners within a 20-mile radius of San Diego. And most of the people that you work with are above the age of 30. Well, what can you do? You can start running ads to people's phones that are in the area, right? So they live near downtown San Diego or they live in North Park, wherever it is. And then they start seeing your ads pop up on their phone consistently, right? So that's what paid ads is. Now you have organic content, right? What is organic content? Well, organic content is exactly what you're watching right now. So everything, social media platform that you can think of, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. This video is a form of organic content because we're not targeting specific people. We're just posting content to the people that already know us, right? So let's say, for example, you have had an Instagram account that you've had with your company or with your name on there for the last 10 to 15 years, right? And you have, a couple hundred followers, maybe less than 100 followers, whatever it is. A lot of those followers are going to be people that you've known in the past, right? Family, friends, or people from college, whatever it is. Well, when you start posting organic content, how is this going to fix your problem, right? Well, people that you've known for the last couple of years are going to start seeing your stuff pop up. Right? They're going to start seeing your stuff pop up. And then in 3 months, 6 months, even a year down the road, because you stayed so consistent throughout that entire time, when John thinks, hey, I know Josh from college. I've been seeing all of his videos about his landscaping business on my Instagram. Let me just reach out to him. So when people have a problem, people that you already know have a problem, and they see your content keep popping up day after day after day, they might not convert the first day, but maybe a couple months down the road, right? So that's how organic content plays into this. And it's very, very, very important as well because it is the foundation of ads, right? So all this plays into one system. Now you have a strong Google business profile, right? Well, what is this? Let's say, me, for example, right? Whenever I'm in a city or whenever I'm looking to get something and I'm kind of like out of my routine, right? So for example, someone usually doesn't look up landscapers near me, right? Unless they need a landscaping job done, right? So let's say I am in a city and new city, and I need to go to a good restaurant. Well, I'm going to look at Google, right? I'm going to go to Google and I'm going to look at the reviews. What are people saying about this place? Do they have good food? Can I see some photos of the food, etc.? Well, it's the same thing, right? When people are looking up landscapers near me, they're going to look on Google and they're going to look at the reviews, right? Google or Yelp, right? They're going to look at the reviews, right? 4.5 stars, 4.9 stars. So the more social proof that you have built up on there, the better, right? The worst thing is having a weak Google business profile because no one knows that you exist or that you're even still in business, right? So those 3 ways are simply how people look around. Or to find your website, right? Kind of the same thing as Google. Let's say they go to Google, they look up landscaper in North Park, San Diego. Well, guess what? Since you have those keywords built into your website, you're going to pop up a little bit higher, right? So all of these methods are guaranteed to give more awareness, right? Like I said, they need to know that you exist. Now, stage 2 is interest. Now that they know that you exist, right? Now that they've seen your ad, now that they've seen your Google, now they're going to do some more research, right? So they're checking you out, what it is. They found you, right? Okay. Now they're deciding, should I even reach out to this person? So what do they look at, right? Well, they're looking at your Google reviews. They're looking at your social media. They're visiting your website. They're watching your videos. And then they're going to other competitors, right? They're looking at your Google like, well, I see this person has 5 stars, but this one has 4.5 stars. This one has 4.2. This one doesn't even have any reviews. I'm not going to contact them. Well, let's see. This person has 5 reviews. They have 30 5-star reviews. They have 30 reviews. What about their Instagram? Boom, click. Oh, okay. Wow. They have a lot of videos. Wow, look at this project. Wow. So they're going to take a look, right? I think you kind of get the point, right? They're going to look and do a little bit of research before they even reach out, right? So the more you have on there, the more you have for them to grasp on, the better. And most contractors lose here because they have a weak social media presence, right? They have no Google reviews. They have an outdated, unprofessional website, right? They have no content showcasing their work. And this makes them look identical to every single contractor, right? One of my favorite sayings is how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So for me personally, I know that when I'm going to train, right? I'm going to the gym, when I'm going to work, when I'm taking care of my clients, when I'm making these videos, whatever I'm doing, I know that I have to do it 100% to the best of my ability. And it's the same thing with the business, right? It's the exact same thing. If these clients are looking you up and they're seeing that you have a strong social media, that you have a strong website, that you have a strong Google business profile, that you have a nice truck with a nice logo, they're going to know that you also have to do good work, right? So they know that if you're taking care of all these other things, that you're taking care of your clients as well, right? And if you're not taking care of your website, if you're not taking care of your social media, then it brings up the question, well, if they're not taking care of their marketing, how are they taking care of their fulfillment, right? Now, what fixes this? Kind of just went over it, right? Authority content, right? So posting project videos, posting testimonials, getting people to talk. This is very, very interactive, right? A strong review system, professional website, consistent posting, right? Pretty much everything that I just mentioned. So that's stage 2, right? Now they're actually checking you out. Well, guess what? Now they're stage 3, right? Because now they have reached out. I'm already showing stage 4. Now they've reached out, right? So they checked you out. Now they reached out. They're interested. What do? Well, they're going to submit a form. They're going to call your number. They're going to send a DM on Instagram. They're going to book a call, whatever it is, right? Where do most contractors lose here? Now, as you can see, like I mentioned, this is a process, right? Because the next thing is you actually have to respond to these people, right? So a slow response time, right? Leads go cold very, very fast. I called a turf business on Tuesday, and the owner did not get back to me until Sunday. It was like 5 days, and then he called me. So if I was a customer, and that's a real example, but if I was a customer, I would have been gone. I would have went somewhere else in those 5 days. So you have to be fast, right? You have to respond quickly. Another thing is you have to have a CRM to track leads, right? If a lot of people are just basing it off of their phone, right? I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting phone calls, but where are these people being tracked, right? Even one job kind of, the guy said, call me next week, but it kind of fell through the cracks. One job, that's just a couple thousand right there. So when you have a CRM, when you have a system to track all of these leads, track every single dollar, nothing can fall through the cracks, right? Or calls go to voicemail, right? Someone calls you, you're out on the job, you don't see it, it goes to voicemail, you don't see it till 3 days later, like what I just mentioned. No follow-up system, right? So someone calls you and say, oh yeah, that sounds interesting, send over the proposal. Boom, you send them a proposal, and then maybe you give them a call like a couple weeks later. Well, guess what? During those couple weeks, they didn't have anything to grab onto, right? They didn't have any content that they can consume. They didn't have any messages that were being sent at them, right? It was very, very cold. So you have to nurture these people during the process of between when they fill out a form to when they agree to move forward, right? And leads fall through the cracks as well, right? Now, what fixes this? A CRM, like I just mentioned, auto response within 5 minutes, and then automated follow-up sequences, right? So just making custom messages that are sent out to people as soon as they give any sort of interest, right? That's the system. Now, a booked job, right? This is stage 4. They said yes. And yes, this keeps going. This is after the sale has come in, right? What it is, they've agreed to move forward. Job is scheduled. Now, what happens? Well, estimate signed, estimate sent, contract signed, job scheduled. Where do most contractors lose here, right? This is kind of what I just mentioned, but they don't follow up after sending the estimate, right? Their estimate takes a long time to turn around, right? Because they don't really have a system for it. What fixes this? Automated estimate follow-up, right? So pretty much exactly what I just mentioned. I kind of got ahead of myself over there, but following up after the estimate is sent, right? Especially a lot of people that we talk to, they're one-man shows, right? So they're out on job sites, they're trying to kind of do everything. They don't have the time or the capacity to be sitting there following up with prospects every single day after they send an estimate, right? A lot of people just send out an estimate and then kind of hope that, the client says yes and moves forward. What does that mean? That means there's a lot of deals that are slipping through the cracks, right? And then a professional onboarding experience, right? So that's booking the job, right? Because once they've signed, once they've paid, the deal can still be lost, right? They can still back out. So it's very important that once they sign, once they pay, it is smooth sailing, right? Not, I don't know when I can meet. Let's do this, that. Like it needs to be organized, right? So that goes back to the system, right? Now they're a repeat client, right? So you just completed the work, you're done, right? And this again is where a lot of people lose out, right? So stage 4 is done. You just finished the job. You're like, okay, great. Now let's go get another client. Well, guess what? That client can be a repeat client. Job is done. Now maximize the relationship, right? So what happens? You request a Google review. You send a thank you message. You add them to your email and SMS list. You ask for a referral. And then for the seasons, right? Winter, this, that, whatever, you follow up with them. And all this is done automatically, right? Because you can't be doing 5,000 things, right? So you have to have a system behind it, right? And just adding this one thing, right? You just add a system that requests a Google review, sends a thank you message, asks for a referral. That alone will increase your LTV, will increase, your referral rates, right? All of this, it plays into one system, right? Now, where do most contractors lose here? Like I said, they never ask for a review. They don't follow up after the job, right? They kind of just forget about the client after the job is complete. And this leaves a lot of money on the table, right? Maximizing the relationship through systems is the entire point. The entire point of stage 5 is maximizing the relationship through systems, because most people don't have time to follow up after a job, right? You're on to the next job. So all this is automated and done through a system, right? So like I said, same thing, right? Seasonal campaigns, a survey system, a referral program, automated review requests, all this stuff just has to be automated because there's not enough time in the day to do all this stuff. And so those are the 5 levels of awareness, right? And like I said, just going back here, this kind of just reiterates point, right? Most contractors are losing money. They're not visible enough. They don't look premium, too slow to respond, lose jobs after the estimate because of that time in between sending the estimate and closing the deal, and then never following up after the job is complete, right? So most contractors only focus on stage 1, like I mentioned, right? I just need more leads. I just need to get more leads in, right? But the leaks at stage 2, 3, 4, and 5, which are arguably more important, are costing you a lot more than you think. So you need to fix the whole thing, right? Not just the top. So I hope you learned. I hope there's some things that you can implement into your business from this video, right? There's a lot of little things that you can just start implementing. If you don't want to implement it yourself and you want to have a system, you want to have all this all in one system, I'm going to leave our calendar link in the description below. So feel free to book a call with us and we can see if you are a good fit for what we do. But don't forget about the other 4 stages, please. It's costing you a lot of money. All right, I'll see you in the next video.